David, it's Elliot. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Should I hit start video?
Yep.
All right. Can you still hear me?
And we can see you.
That is your risk, but I'm doing this on my iPhone. Somehow we couldn't get my laptop to accept the code. Anyway, I'm here. I will only speak when spoken to because I don't know how many others are being subjected to this right now. So if you want me to chime in, or anyway, I will now keep my microphone on so I can speak, but I will otherwise be quiet.
All right.
No, it says here we experienced problems joining the.
Ladies and gentlemen, very sorry, but we're having technical difficulties bringing the chair of the community board into the meeting. So please stand by and bear with us. Thank you.
The number you've got.
Yeah, did we start?
Oh, you didn't get to hear Jerry? We're having trouble getting the chair in.
I don't hear anything. Is there a number? I don't hear anything.
You didn't hear when, okay, because Jerry came on and he told everyone that they're having trouble getting the chair in.
I'm not even hearing. I didn't see him come in. I see myself. I see some of the people, but I don't see, anybody.
Yeah, but, okay.
Rabbi, we can see and hear you.
I can see it too.
Okay, so we can hear you as well. Just want you to be mindful that you're not on mute.
You better not tell people all those secrets that you've been carrying around.
Hi, Tom. Are you here?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. Hi, nice to see you.
evening.
Well, you look as cute as ever.
Can I have my committee meet on the side to discuss the 80 billion liquor licenses?
Go ahead.
Can we go out in the hallway?
Can we see your books up there?
Everybody read all those liquor licenses.
Okay, so then, can you hear me, Tom?
There's 112 licenses on that list.
I move that we deny them all.
I can hear you, Maria. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, Marie, we can hear you.
Oh, Tom, how you doing, love?
It's today's day 180 of work at home, stay at home.
Oh, all righty.
Got computer screens facing at me from many, many different directions. How are you, Marie?
I'm good. I'm good, thank you. I've been working at home too.
Have you been thrilled with the one block closure of Graham Avenue for no purpose whatsoever other than to screw us up on Manhattan Avenue?
I'm disgusted with everything. Even the tables out in the street. We have no parking at all now.
Well, I don't know. The street closing serves no purpose. The restaurants have their little corrals. It's like, why does the whole street have to be closed?
So people can walk in the street, Tom, social distancing.
They all stand around the bar.
And also, if you go to other community boards, you know that does not exist. I've not seen one place in Brownsville or East New York.
One block of Graham Avenue between Consulier and Skillman ties up the entire Graham Avenue.
Oh, but here in Greenpoint, Tom, imagine they even closed West Street, which has one bar on West Street, and at least West Street was useful to slim the traffic on Franklin, right? So now, why do we close West Street? It's completely deserted. You know? I mean, it's.
Because the grass at the buildings on the waterfront got killed by the dogs.
Tom.
Yeah.
I did a press conference today with somebody I think you know.
About it.
The woman she's a transgendered woman that worked on Ray Kelly's commission to incorporate LGBTQ protocols into the patrol guide. You know what
I've been on 5 different police commissioners' commissions.
Her name is Mary.
Nope.
I tried to talk to her, but there's so much going on.
No,
it's like on the same thing that you do at 1PP. Like where you're like the commissioner's liaison or something like
Well,
that.
I quit. I gave up on the police department, so I don't go to that anymore. Too many white people, so I said I can't go anymore. We need a little diversity. I said, so I'll volunteer to leave. But I don't know any Mary.
She spoke a lot about Ray Kelly, so she might have left.
Yeah, but I was on his, Bratton's, all of them.
Lovely lady. But
Don't know. You saw the great publicity on the renaming of Marshall P. Johnson Park.
Yep.
What are they trying to do with the Alice? Try to force her through a window?
I
What's
can't-
going on?
Can you tell me why she can't use a telephone?
Where is she? Are they trying to? Where is the Alice? How come they can't get her in? Put her on Marie's phone. Put her on community board.
Why don't just use a telephone?
The Brady Bunch is waiting for her.
Into the access area has now resulted in our application, which has taken well over a year. So with that, I think I would allow David to run through some of the technical requirements, and then we're available and Elliot's available to answer any specific question. So David, if you want to continue.
Thank you, Richard. Just running through some of the technical aspects. On slide 4, you can see the site and the area that it is. Site 5 shows the certification that's a piece of this action to show that the site plan complies with the visual corridor requirements. And you can see how South 8th Street visual corridor extends through. This is just recertifying based on the new site plan with a previous certification having been done in 2015. Moving to slide 6, you can see this is a map of the different public areas in the waterfront public access area. With all of these areas, what you find is that you're either going to be in Shore Public Walkway, what's in blue hatch is called supplemental public access area, which is the additional public access, or in the Upton connection. And when DEC required us to shift things around for either to cap the bulkhead in the area at the top of the page that you see in gray, or to recarve out protections for the wetlands, which is the part just to the right where you see it kind of cuts in, everything moved around. And so the blue areas that you see at the top, the 872, the 319, and the 86, those were previously part of the Shore Public Walkway, but now for technical reasons are now supplemental public access areas. And then all the blue areas that you see running up and down on the sides, those are areas that were previously designated as private property. And now through these actions would be designated as permanently public access. So they would have to stay in the condition that they're in now and wouldn't be able to be cordoned off for any kind of private use or change to the design. And so you can see
move the slides, please. Can you move the slides? You're still at slide 3. I'm sorry.
So the way that WebEx, and I know there were a lot of complaints about this before, I can't share the screen and move the slides, but everyone can move the slides along with me, either using the arrow buttons on their keyboards. And each of the slides has a number on it. It's one of the unfortunate things of WebEx. And so with these blue areas hatched have to stay open to the public and in the condition that they're in for the site plan. Slide 7, what you're going to see in some of these slides is just a side-by-side comparison of the plans that were originally approved versus the as-built condition that we're looking to show here. There are some slight differences in the way the plans were drawn that make them look a little bit different, particularly with the shading and the legend, but these plans are showing the same areas to scale. And you can see here the way that the cove was modified, the protections around it. And so the 40-foot requirement, the blue line that you see on the left was the 40-foot line, which complied with the zoning. And then when it was changed, now at one point, the shortest distance between the edge of the building and the waterfront is 38 feet and 10 inches, which is 14 inches short. And that requires an authorization of both the minimum width of the Shore Public Walkway and the required waterfront yard, which end up being the same thing here. Moving on to slide 8, you can see the transition area. It's another waiver that we need. The requirement for planting for this is 40% of the planting. which amounts to required 768 square feet of planting. In 2016, the fire department had asked for particular modifications to make sure that they had vehicular access, which brought the number of planting down on what you see on the left, which amounts to 643 square feet of planting. As proposed on the right, it does not amount to the full 768, but the planting is increased to 671 square feet of planted area. And you can see that it's buffered around it by new additional permanently public space, including areas that are permanently planted. Moving on to slide 9, you can see the upland connection. If you look at the red line going along the top, you can see how the change in the cove changed the shape of the shore public walkway and ended up moving a lot and reduced the size by a couple hundred square feet. Also, between that move and the proposed changes to the lawn area and replacing it with gravel, the total planting in this upland connection type 1 was reduced from 2,500 square feet roughly to 2,138 square feet, which is just shy of the required 2,334 square feet, or a difference of about 3.3%. On slide 10, you can see the proposed comparison of the lawn area. On the left, in the 2016 approval, you see the area that is just flat grass. And on the right, you can see the proposal to add additional outdoor seating and changing the surface of that area for a permeable paved gravel. And just for those who aren't familiar, you can see on slide 11 pictures of what this lawn has started to look like. During the land use committee meeting, there was a lot of discussion about making sure that we've done everything we can to protect this grass, and we have. We've spoken with the landscape architects and the maintenance team. Every measure that we could was deployed, but the options become limited because what they pointed out to me that I didn't have in front of me at the land use committee meeting was that this area of the grass also falls within an easement held by the city and the state, as well as part of the necessary vehicular access path for the fire department. So whatever goes in this strip needs to be drivable. And so any kind of structures that you put to cordon it off or program the space that would interfere with the ability of any kind of vehicle to go over it would just not be acceptable. And so Parks had asked us to look at replacing this with synthetic turf. The Department of City Planning had some other concerns about what might happen with synthetic turf and how dirty and hot and smelly that can get when it meets sunlight and dogs. And so everyone started talking about this, and we arrived at the paved gravel would be the best solution here. Moving on to slide 12, there's a requirement for a screening buffer. In 2016, you can see that the original approval, there was a plan here to have 2 different commercial entrances into the building. When we were here in front of this board in 2018 with the phasing authorization, there was a lot of discussion about allowing some kind of that retail inside the building might not make a lot of sense here, and that people wanted to see outdoor dining here that put more eyes on it, use the space a little better. And so what that resulted in was removing one of the commercial entrances. And for that, the zoning requires a densely planted screening buffer between the building and the public areas, which would be required on the right, where you right about where you see the 10-foot 8. And we felt then, and we feel especially now with COVID, that having that kind of outdoor use that is meshed in with the shore public walkway actually enhances the experience and livens up the area a little bit and prevents this corner of the shore public walkway from becoming a kind of back alley that no one ever gets to because it's dark and wooded on all sides. And then that covers all the waivers. The rest of the slides show different pictures of the area. I'd point to slide 15, which shows a rendering from Seawolf of the effect that that not having the screening buffer has on kind of opening this area up to the public a little bit more. And I would also point to on slide 21, I think is the best one that shows this. You can see the corner of the building right there, measured to the corner of the fence on the other side. That's the 38 feet, 10 inches that requires the waiver of the minimum width of the shore public walkway. And this is the only point where it's less than the required 40 feet. And so I think with that, we're happy to take any questions from members of the board or the public.
We asked people to put questions in the chat if they had, and if Joanne, is there any questions in the chat pertaining to this presentation?
Yes. Hello?
Yes.
Yes. This question from Katie Naplatarski and William Elkins.
Can you read the question, Joanne?
From Katie Naplatarski, I went to this part of this property today and saw that there is a really nice residual low area with fencing around it and a sign saying, please allow grass to regrow. And it looks great. I think it's a mistake to give up on the grass. Bad precedent needs to be grass or planting of some sort, no gravel. William Elkins, why was the synthetic turf not pursued? Simply because of dog owners?
And thank you for the questions. I think that, and this speaks to really the developers and their approach to projects like this, as difficult as it is, and as we found it to maintain the grass, and why we're here going through this process to be able to repave the area. Pursuant to the previous authorization and the certification of these plans, we remain required to maintain these plantings. And so despite the fact that it keeps getting run over, we still have to do this again. And it's just impossible to maintain long-term. Every avenue to do this, and I know that Elliot Spitzer here can talk more about the efforts that they've put in to just doing this, and the dog traffic makes that impossible.
David, this is Elliot, and everybody, I appreciate your time and attention to this. And let me just begin by saying that we're proud of what we've built. Hope you appreciate it and find it aesthetically satisfying, a good contribution both to Williamsburg and to all of Brooklyn. And we are especially happy about the 187 affordable units, all of which are filled. And I think anybody who has gone through this knows that it is difficult to do that, but we have gotten all 187 leased, and that's something we're including over 30 homeless families. So we're very proud of that. In terms of the specific grass, I can promise you that both as a matter of protecting natural environments, as a dog owner, I would have preferred that the grass there be possible. It simply wasn't. You have a very small space that is actually covered with grass, and the number of dogs in that neighborhood, many of them who reside in the building, simply overran that space no matter what we did. We had signs, we encouraged, we persuaded, we cajoled, we begged, we pleaded, we watered the grass. And as a consequence, I think we, as David and Richard have said, have gone through a very complete process with both parks and the other city agencies in an effort to find the best answer. And I wish grass or some synthetic, the city rejected synthetic, said it simply wouldn't work for the reasons David alluded to. And I wish we could come up with something that would work, but the city was quite adamant that the combination that David described, with the synthetic gravel and the other stuff, is what they expect us to put in there. Yeah, can I? Well, I see a couple of questions up on the chat. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to react to them or respond to them. We're in terms of this area, yes, there's going to be a little berm there, which is, I guess, the architectural term for a bump. That area will continue to be planted in some way, shape, or form. It is, am I right, David? But I think the seats will be there. It's the flat area that will be the gravel.
Yeah, I think that if we go back to, I'm just going to pull up the slide number. So on slide 10, you can see on the right and left, you can see on the left is the previous approval, that where on the left you have that rounded area where you see the trees, that's where the berm is, the little bit of hill heavily planted. And on the right, there are the covered seating that you see now and that are in the pictures. Those areas will stay exactly the same. The only proposed change is the change that you can see in the difference between the two drawings, which is that on the left, there's the area in green that is just grass, and then the area on the right, which is a darker shade of some color that I can't quite tell from this distance without my glasses on, that will become paved gravel instead of the glass.
The other point I'd make, David, is that, and I hope everybody in the community board has been down to the Esplanade, which I really think is, again, I'm obviously partial, but I think it's quite a wonderful contribution to the waterfront. There is loads of planting along the entire Esplanade. And, as I say, we all believe we need more trees and more grass in the city. It simply didn't work in this one location, but elsewhere along the Esplanade, I think the plantings are beautiful and the trees are thriving. And I can tell you, we're putting a lot of effort and funding into maintaining them and making sure that's the case.
Are we still asking questions? Because I have questions in the chat.
I think that, so with respect to the other questions that I'm seeing in the chat, I think they're all along the lines of what we've been talking about with the grass. The questions about the about Domino, I can't speak to the site conditions at Domino, I just don't know them, but I know here we're dealing with a very unique set of factors, particularly in making sure that this area remains navigable because it is within city-owned easement. And then the other issues I think are here about the affordability aspect, about the affordable housing, but I don't know if people asking those questions can specify what their question is, or if it's just a general statement about the need for more.
David, I don't have in front of me, and I apologize. I'm just assuming if the question was, what is the breakdown across the various income levels, I do not have that right in front of me, but I'll tell you, it spanned the entire spectrum as most inclusionary housing does. But at the request of the city, and I don't think this was mandated initially, we have over 30 apartments that are filled with homeless individuals and families. And so I think that has made, obviously been an important effort on the part of the city to confront what is an issue that we all have to care about.
How long are they going to have access to staying in that apartment?
The inclusionary units?
Yeah.
In perpetuity. Well, I guess that's a long time for people. The units will always be inclusionary units. So I wish them perpetuity, but that's not sure any of us gets that.
Well, you said it on the record, right?
Okay, yes.
So I just see that Katie had asked specifically about different kinds of plantings in this area. Again, compared to the berm, which has next to it on the hill, which has ornamental grass, the fact that this needs to remain a flat surface that can be driven on changes a bit of the topography and what we can plant. Some of the ornamental grass, when you lose some actual passive space that people can use, and clearly the central location of this is such that you want people to be able to walk through it. That's the idea of the grass, was for people to be able to use it, and it's regrettable that it got overrun by dogs the way it did. Any of that kind of ornamental grass, aside from the fact that it may or may not actually be able to grow there because of the depth, would be impossible, would not be navigable by either by people or by vehicles, and would just take that space away from the public. Tom, I noticed that you mentioned that it was an intentional taking of grass. I just hope that you're not imparting that on the developer, because I think we've been clear that this is not something we wanted.
And it's Richard Lobel. Just to kind of reiterate some of what was stated, I think that Elliot's really tried to go a long way to make this a really functional and enjoyable esplanade for the community. We are at about 6,000 square feet greater than what was originally required, and that was by design. It's unfortunate that we had to go through this additional process, for these changes, which were really in large part required because of compliance with state regulation. But I'm encouraged by the fact that some in the chat, I see that people who live nearby enjoy it. They feel that it's a really pleasant area, and we're hopeful that the community board can allow us to move forward.
I could not see the entirety of the question that was in the chat. But let me just reiterate what Richard said. We went through a dynamic process with a whole slew of city agencies about what this covering should be. And we, as you, tried very hard to keep it grass or some equivalent, including AstroTurf and everything else. City Parks and DCP, City Planning, are the ones who gave us this as sort of not quite take it or leave it, but essentially they said, this is what you're doing.
And Steve, just to address your point, if I think I'm getting your question right, the area of the gravel amounts to 986 square feet. The surplus of open space here is over 6,500 square feet.
Who's moderating right now? Like, there's a lot of space and time. What's happening?
Chair, are you able to speak? Jerry?
Can we keep going? Can somebody chair and facilitate is what Diane's asking.
So is the vice chair in the meeting?
Yeah, good.
Is the vice chair in the meeting?
I don't think so.
Jerry?
Simon's not here. The next one in line is Miss Teague.
I do not have an agenda, so,
We're just asking for a chair right now.
How about the chair of the committee make a motion and everybody vote and move this on?
so let me just, then why don't I just say that we did have a public hearing and a land use committee meeting. And the presenters have made my job very easy right now because
Just a point of order. Don't we have to close the hearing before we move into the meeting?
She's chairing right now, Steve. She's chairing.
We didn't close the hearing.
Well,
didn't close
Steve,
the
I
hearing.
don't know that I can close the hearing. On the other hand, I don't want to just
We
have you
just
sit here for an hour.
we shouldn't be voting yet. All right, we have other items on the agenda. So if there are no further questions, then we'll move on.
Fine.
All right, hearing no further questions, then Dell, the next item on the agenda is a presentation update on the Census 2020 by Barbara Williams, Field Associate. Is Barbara Williams in the house?
Yes, she is.
Okay, so let's proceed then. Thank you. Ms. Williams?
She needs to be unmuted. She's
She's an attendee, so she has to be turned on.
Jerry, can you unmute her? Turn her on?
I have to run up front and do that. I'll tell Marie to do that.
Thank you. Thanks.
I know, I'm trying to get her. I'm trying to get her to turn on. Okay. Miss Williams?
Yes, thank you. Give me 1 second. I'm going to. Okay. Share my screen, okay?
Yes, we see you. All right, Ms. Williams, would you proceed, please?
Yes, I'm trying to share my screen right now.
Okay, we can see you.
Yeah, but my screen is for my slides.
I see.
It's not letting me. That's okay. I'll just. Can you see that? Can you see that?
I don't see it. I just
The
see
host, Marie, the host, has to turn on the share files button for you. So Jerry needs to walk back up front and tell her.
I have already done that.
Sorry, Marie.
You know what? It's okay. I'll just do it without the slides if that's okay.
We just saw you.
Is that fine?
No.
Yes, please proceed.
Thank you. So I want to say thank you, first of all, because as a proud resident of Community Board 1, it's an honor that I'm able to speak before the board. I'm here to basically update you because we have about 22 days left to the census, to the end of the census. And I know you've had several speakers so far discuss the census. So I'm not going to waste your time in telling you why it's important that we do the census. As we all know, it's about justice and rights and representation and redistricting. But if you can imagine this, all the hard work that you put into making sure our streets are clean and we have garbage cans on the corner, and that, you know, to make sure our kids have opportunities for education. We want to make sure that bus lines run properly. We want to make sure that we have enough subway lines in our community. But imagine that we days left. Originally, we were supposed to go to October 31st. Executive order from the White House was sent down to us, and now we're being forced in the census, as I said before, on September 30th. So it's not just about the representation that makes this so important. It's about making sure we have our congressional seats where possible. Okay, so every 10 years, the data is used to determine how many seats we need in each state to get our congressional seats, right? And so this being said, because we only have but so many people filling out the census, we are going to lose probably 2 congressional seats. At the rate we're going, half of Brooklyn is going to be seen as invisible. So half of Brooklyn will not be counted at all. Okay, so the resources that's needed, the representation that's needed, we're not going to get it. And that's going to, what we get will have to last for 10 years. I had a graph there where I wanted to show you how we did in 2010. As a whole, Brooklyn was at 55.6%, very low when we finished the census. But as of now, when you look at Brooklyn, Brooklyn is at 55.3%. So we're not even where we were in 2010. Okay. And in the neighborhoods such as Greenpoint, Greenpoint was at 54, 55, and now it's at 54. No, 54, and now it's at 53. And in Williamsburg, we're still below where we need to be. Self-response, but we're at 55%. So we still have a long way to go. We're only 22 days to go. So I'm coming to the board to tell you what Community Board 1 can do to help the situation. Okay, the first thing, I need to make sure that everyone who is on the call and their family members and their friends have done the census. Okay, if they did it later in the summer, they have to make sure that they do it again, because what happened with the post office being, slowed down, a lot of mail was not received. So that means if anyone mailed in census later, that be counted. The good thing about this now, we have so many languages that we can help out with. You know, it's not just English and Spanish. We have Tagalog, we have Portuguese, and so we are very open to helping more people. Unfortunately, we don't have the time. So what we're asking you to do is to join us in some of our events that we have coming up. We have outdoor events coming up where we're hitting the streets, we're hitting the parks, we're going to vendors, we're going into the stores, we're hanging flyers and posters, and we're also doing phone banking. We're doing the subway stations as well. And so in order to get involved with any of those activities, I would love for you to contact me personally. Ms. Dialis, she has my phone number in my email. I'll say it at the end.
Can you also, Barbara, can you also put it in the chat so that we could contact you separate from her?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good idea. Thank you.
Yes. So what we have coming up, because we do phone banks for Brooklyn every Tuesday and every Thursday. On Tuesday, we do phone bankings from 1 to 3, and on Thursdays, it's from 6 to 8. And the 24th will be our last opportunity to do any phone banking for the census. Okay? So we're having what we call Last Dance phone bank party on September 24th. We're having a mutual aid and organizational challenge. So if you're a part of a community board and you want to see how many people you can recruit to be part of the phone banking, or if you're part of an organization that is in Brooklyn, you can join us on September 10th. And I'll put the information for where you go to sign up for the calls. I'll put my email address, and I will put my phone number as well in the chat box.
Thank you. Thank you.
But most of all, we just need help in getting this done because, like I said, we are way behind all the other boroughs. Right now, we're in last place. And if
Can I ask a question? Or
Yeah, I have a question too.
I have a question.
Okay, one at a time. Dana?
So, Robert, two questions. One, I know you can only phone bank up until the 24th, but people could fill it out online until the 30th, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then secondly, I hear what you're saying about the challenge. You know, a lot of people are doing Occupy the Block setups right now, and they're outside from, 8 p.m. till 2 a.m. in the morning. Are you guys taking an innovative approach? Because those are the people most likely not running into you guys, most likely not signing up for not doing the census on their own. Are you going to be doing activations on impacted blocks overnight, both in our district and outside of our district, where people are most likely not engaged with the census?
It's funny that you say that because I came across a rally recently, and when I went, they asked if anyone Black or brown wanted to speak. And so I spoke about the census and the need for the census to be done. And I asked them to do the census on the spot. And so when I walked away, someone came up to me who I knew, and he said, "Do you realize a group of people who were not going to do the census, but when you just spoke to them, what you said to them, to the fact where they wanted to know more about the census, and some of them actually did their census." And then I spoke at McCarran Park as well. So I will go wherever is needed in order for us to get the numbers in.
And you have iPads that you could do it on site with people?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I have right in my apartment. I have, and what we could always do is if the person doesn't want to do it on your iPad, you could ask them to pull up the website on their phone.
Okay, so I'm going to contact you separately, and I have some events we can come out to.
Okay, awesome. That'll be awesome. I really appreciate that. But
why are there so few hours a week?
Jan, please let her finish.
Okay, sorry, I can't.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm sorry.
Okay, Jan.
Why are there so few hours a week that you're doing phone calling? 2 hours and 2 hours seems. Did I hear it right? Maybe I heard it wrong.
Well, that's because we're doing other things during the week as well. So we're hitting the phone pantry, the food pantries, and we're doing all kinds of events. We're doing a bicycling event. We're hitting the subways. We're hitting the arena, the Barclays. We're all over the place. And the sad part is there's only 5 people who work for Brooklyn, like a steady work job for Brooklyn in the census. And we depend a lot on the volunteers. And so I myself, I cover 11 different parts of Brooklyn. And we're talking about over 2 million people.
No, I'm shocked to hear this. I'm just saying is that we have a borough president running for mayor, and this is the state of this campaign. This really is unbelievable. I mean.
Yeah, but what I do with my volunteers that I meet with every week, I look at the numbers and I give them the option to make calls on their own using a manual dialer instead of a predictive dialer. When we do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we use an automatic dialer that dials the number for you. But my volunteers and I, we've been focusing heavily on the Williamsburg section, not just because I live here, but because we see the numbers are really low. And out of all my 11 areas, all my neighborhoods are starting to come out of where they were in 2010 but my Williamsburg sections are the only 2 sections where my numbers are low.
Have you talked to the public housing leaders?
We're working with public housing. We have someone who does public housing. We have someone who does clergy. We have someone who works with the Chinese community. Yes, so we cover faith. We cover
Hasidic and Orthodox and all that.
Yes, we cover that. We cover the unions as well. We cover city workers. And so we are still trying to figure out why it is that people don't want to do the census. A lot of people, when they speak about the census, they speak about it on a macro level. And when I speak to people, I try to find out why it's important to them. You know, people don't realize that when you leave your house and you walk down the street, everything you see, smell, and touch is impacted by the census, right? And so with the COVID being so here and we in need of vaccines, what's going to happen when we have an undercount and they need to produce? They won't know how many to produce. And so we're going to be short.
Wow.
Yeah, we caravans, we've done that. We're planning a march as well. You name it, we're doing all kinds of stuff. We've done virtual events during the COVID every Tuesday.
Barbara, have you partnered with community-based organizations in the area that have a large constituency and a very intimate relationship with their constituents?
There was an opportunity for community-based organizations to receive funding from the state. And there were probably about 250 organizations throughout the 5 boroughs that received funding. And we're not just talking about $5,000. Some of them received $250,000 and maybe a little more. And this was to be used to design programs to educate. My focus is on those people who are coming out of prison. My people that I'm really looking out for is domestic violence situations. Those people who are living in fear of doing the census, because, you know, like I said, you have to reach out to the person to where they are, not where you think they should be in life, right? Mm-hmm. And so I've been focusing on the people who are hard to reach, such as those people.
Well, I think now we have to reach out to the people that are easy to reach too. Any numbers, but the question I would have is, you said some of the community-based organizations here have been funded to do this. Do you have that list? Do you have that list?
I have access to it. I don't have it on me.
Could you send that out to us also? We know who's been funded to do this work, and because it's obviously there's a real problem here. This is a crisis. This is not little. You're sounding very sweet, but it is big.
Yeah, it is a large problem, and this is for 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, with Corona now, we're going to have funding cuts. It continue to do this. You know, it breaks my heart that a lot of people don't see that this is a big problem.
Yeah.
Problem. You know,
that's the list, right?
Yes. It was actually published in a newspaper where they listed everyone who received the grant.
Well, let's find out how well they've done.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that one of the things that really hindered the process, impeded the count to move forward, was COVID.
Yes.
I think that the funding was allocated somewhere in the beginning of the second quarter of this year, and COVID started right when the funding was allocated. And that's the funding that Barbara were mentioning. And so everything paused, and the counters, the outreach workers were not, the census outreach workers were not able to go out and knock on doors. I know that you guys engaged heavily in some phone banking campaign and even texting, but I'm going to be very, very honest with you. I think that during those first 4 or 5 months of COVID, nobody was really focusing on census when everything was COVID. And now there's a big rush. And the fact that the timing has been shortened to September it's what's making it worse. So I'm not going to say that the organizations are to blame for lack of production, because there's a lot. I mean, the census workers themselves, they have expressed the challenges that they're. So this is why I'm saying, have you partnered with those organizations, because it's everyone's best interest to have people counted. And I know that there is an organization in Williamsburg that received funds. So there's, that's probably an organization you should partner with.
Yeah, and like you said, COVID was a big problem. And you know what? I say it's 55, but during a COVID, we're lucky we got that far. We're lucky we got that far, because a lot of people, when I did call, a lot of people who we did reach to, they didn't want to talk about it. But when I sat down and had a conversation with them on the phone about why it's important to their loved one who does have COVID, and will need services when it's time to recover, they were like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize it. I was so
can I just as
absolutely.
Just as
People on the chat.
Wait, one at a time, please.
There are people on the chat that are giving a lot of suggestions of events that are being organized, events by elected officials that are being organized in Williamsburg, and all of that stuff. I don't know, Denise, Barbara, I'm sorry if you're able to see it, but it would be great if you would partner with them. I'm sorry, Dana, I'll just.
We are, yeah.
I'm gonna get off the soapbox in a second, but maybe those are good, suggestions to partner with those folks. And Dana even had some ideas as well. So there's a lot of connections here that you could probably benefit from.
Yeah. So, we've been, I'm sorry. Can I just say something? I'm sorry. So we have partnered, because before I forget what she was talking about, I'm sorry. Because we have partnered with Reynosa. We have partnered with Myrie. We have partnered with a lot of the elected officials. Like, we have a separate department that deals with just the elected officials, and we have meetings with them. Participating is just, it's difficult when you're trying to get people to shift from the whole notion of trying to be safe and trying to be well to please take 5 minutes to do a census. Thing we are working with, we have worked with them, even up to Eric Adams in the mayor's office. We've worked with all the elected officials. Sorry, Dana.
No, I just think that, like, we could have this conversation all night long. I'll tell you, as somebody who does a lot of organizing, you don't need an event. You need to go into laundromats where people are waiting for their laundry to be done, on the food bank lines, in the barber shops. Meet people where they're at as they're sitting waiting for things. That's where they're going to be. And people that have minimal access to the internet and whatnot. I think, I'll send you some Occupy the Block information so we can mobilize people outside. But again, it's really not centered around events. It's you meet people where they're at. And we did 10,000 surveys in Brownsville in like 3 months on the ground, and it was 10 minutes each for each survey. And you just were in barbershops, at laundromats, on the corner. The food bank line is around the corner at all the different food banks. People are sitting on that line doing nothing. So
yeah, we've done that. We have people who will go out in the streets, and they're going into like you said, we stand outside. The check cash in place. We stand outside when the lines are long outside the food banks. Diana Richardson, she does something, so we join forces with her to do the food bank lines. So we put. So we're doing actual on the ground work. We have a squad of people who are helping as well. So we are going to where the people are, but it's still.
Hi, it's Julia. I raised my hand twice.
I'm sorry.
Church has finally opened back up, and only a suggestion, somebody put it in the chat box. Maybe Sundays. I know it's short time. You only have 3 Sundays. They can hit the churches on Sunday because people are coming back to church. Not 2, not 3. You've getting maybe 40, 50 people. And I do know they haven't, a lot of them have not done their census. I have spoken to them. And not only, like you said, the food bank, there's a food truck that comes to Cooper on Wednesdays, I believe. And the folks are lined up to get the food. Thursdays, they're in Williamsburg houses in front of St. John's Church. So if you can just, I gave you my phone number in the chat box. You can give me a call. There are some other events that I know about that's coming up this weekend also. So my phone number's in the chat box. You can give me a call.
Okay, not a problem. I will definitely give you a call. But like I said, I'm going to put my information down in a box, and we hope to see you at the home banks sessions. And I appreciate you having me to speak tonight. And I thank you for your suggestions and your time.
Thank you. Obviously, it's a very, very important issue.
Mm-hmm.
Be present.
Thank you. Jerry, I think we can move on to the next item.
Well, you have the listing of liquor licenses that's attached to the agenda. And I guess we need a motion to open the board meeting.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion.
Do we need a second?
I second.
Okay. Okay, Jerry, so the,
So it's a roll call for the full board meeting.
okay,
Please answer when I call your name. Unmute your microphone to do so. Thank you. Gina Argento,
Here.
Bogdan Bakarowski,
Present.
Lisa Bamonte, Gina Barros,
Here.
Tion Brooks, Eric Brusitis,
Here.
Tom Burrows,
Here.
Iris Cabrera, Phil Caponegro,
Yeah.
Frank Carbone, Stephen Chesler,
Here.
Michael Chiricella,
Here.
Teresa Cinciata, Giovanni D'Amato,
Here.
Erin Drinkwater, Arthur Dubinowski, Erin Drinkwater,
Here.
thank you. Arthur Dubinowski,
Here.
T. Willis Elkins,
Here.
Julia Amanda Foster,
Present.
Chairperson Fuller, Joel Goldstein, Joel Gross, Sonia Iglesia, Moisha Indig, Ozina Kaminsky,
Present.
thank you. Avram Katz, William Klagsbald, Ryan Coonan, don't have her, don't have visual.
Here. She was there before.
Yoel Landau, Marie Leanza, Abraham Leibovitz, Yoel Lowe, Trina McKeever,
Here.
Sante Michelli,
Here.
Sante Michelli.
he said
Here.
here.
I'm sorry?
He said here.
I'm here.
Okay. I hear now. Toby Moskowitz.
Here.
Thank you. Martin Needleman. Marty Needleman. Rabbi Niederman. Rabbi Niederman. Karen Nieves.
Here.
Thank you. Mario Domerick. Janice Peterson.
Here.
Dana Racklin.
Here.
Thank you. Isaac Sofer. Rob Solano. Stewart. Del Teague.
Here.
Tommy Torres.
Sente.
Tommy Torres.
Present.
William Vega. I can see you, William, but I can't hear you. I mark you present from the visual. Maria Vieira. Maria Vieira.
Present.
Stephen Weidberg.
Here.
Simon Weiser.
Dziękuję.
27 members answering the call, Madam Temporary Chair.
Gary, did you hear Did you hear me, Marty Needleman?
I hear you now.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was muted.
Tommy Torres, Jerry.
I got you, Tommy.
And Marie Lianza.
I have you, Marie.
And do you have
Jerry,
Rabbi
did you
Niederman?
get me?
Who is that?
Mario Tamara?
Mario Domerick.
I have you, yes.
Her. And,
Okay, thank you.
And Jerry, this is Dell. Do you have Rabbi Niederman? I think I heard his voice.
Rabbi Niederman?
Yeah.
Rabbi Niederman, are you there? No.
Oh, maybe not.
There. Well, it shows him there.
He was there.
I thought I heard his voice.
He's there twice.
Though.
Hey, Del, we have a quorum. You can move
Okay.
on.
All right.
Approval
So,
of minutes.
okay. So what's
Approval of the
next?
approval of the agenda and then approval of the minutes. Did you get the copy of the agenda that we sent to your phone?
I'm back on, Jerry.
So, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Did I hear Chair Fuller?
Yeah, I'm back on.
Oh, okay, good.
Chair Fuller, we just did the roll call for the board meeting.
Okay, did you approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Bozina Kaminsky.
Second.
We have to do a roll call vote.
Another one?
Yes. Can I have a roll call vote to approve the agenda, please? They can't hear me again?
I hear you. Jerry?
We can hear you.
We hear you.
Okay.
Here, Jerry.
Jerry, Gialis is asking for a roll call vote.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Gina Argento,
Approved.
Bogdan Bakarowski,
Yes.
Lisa Bamonte, Gina Barros,
Yes.
Tion Brooks, Eric Brusitis,
Yes.
Tom Burrows, Iris Cabrera, Phil Caponegro,
Yes.
Frank Carbone, Stephen Chesler,
Yes.
Mike Chiricella, Teresa Cinciata, Giovanni D'Amato, Erin Drinkwater,
Present.
Arthur Dubinowski,
Yes.
T. Willis Elkins,
Yes.
Julia Amanda Foster,
Yes.
Chairperson Fuller,
Yes.
Joel Goldstein, Joel Gross, Sonia Iglesia, Moise Shindig, Bozina Kaminsky,
Yes.
Avram Katz, William Klagsbold, Ryan Coonan, Yoel Landau, Marie Lianza,
Here, yes.
Tim Leibovitz, Yoel Lowe, Trina McKeever,
I'm gonna keep track of it.
Yes.
Kiva,
Yes.
Sante Michelli, Sante
Are
Michelli,
you kidding me?
Yes.
Martin Needleman,
Yes.
Rabbi Needleman, Karen Nieves,
Yes.
Mario Domerick,
Yes.
Jan Peterson,
Here.
Jan Peterson.
Here.
It's not a here vote. It's a yes, no, or abstention.
Yes.
Dana Racklin. Dana Racklin.
Yes.
Isaac Sofer. Rob Solano.
Yes, Rob Solano, yes.
James Stewart. Teague.
Yes.
Tommy Torres.
Yes.
William Vega. William Vega. Maria Vieira.
Yes.
I see a thumbs up, William. Thank you.
Mr.
Maria's a
Kobe
yes.
Moskowitz, I didn't
Stephen
hear you.
Weidberg.
Yes, I
Yes.
said yes.
All right, motion passes, Madam Chair.
So Jerry, you didn't call my name, but I vote yes. It's Toby Moskowitz.
So noted.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank everybody so much for your patience.
30 in the affirmative.
30 in the affirmative. Thank you. So we have a quorum. Thank you, Jerry. Can I have approval of the minutes, please? Roll call vote.
This is for approval of the minutes. Gina Argento,
Yes.
Bogdan Bakarowski,
Yes.
Lisa Bamonte, Gina Barros,
Yes.
Tion Brooks, Eric Brusitis,
Yes.
Tom Burrows,
Yes.
Iris Cabrera, Phil Caponegro,
Yes.
Frank Carbone, Stephen Chesler,
Yes.
Michael Chirichella, Teresa Cinciata, Giovanni D'Amato,
Yes, yes.
Aaron Drinkwater,
Yes.
Arthur Dibinowski,
Yes.
T. Willis Elkins,
Yes.
Joy Amanda Foster,
Yes.
Chairperson Fuller, Joel Goldstein,
Yeah.
Joel Gross, Sonia Iglesia,
Yes.
Moisha Indig, Bozina Kaminsky,
Yes.
Bozina Kaminsky, William Klagsbold, Ryan Coonan,
Yes.
Yoel Landau, Marie Lianza,
Yes.
Abraham Leibovitz, Yoel Lowe, Trina McKeeva, Trina McKeeva,
Yes.
thank you. Sante Michelli, Sante Michelli,
Yes.
Toby Moskowitz,
Yes.
thank you. Martin Needleman,
Abstain.
Rabbi Niederman, Karen Neves,
Yes.
Mario Domerick,
Yes.
Janice Peterson,
Yes.
Dana Racklin, Isaac Sofer, Rob Solano, James Stewart, Del Teague,
Yes.
Tommy Torres,
Yes.
William Vega.
I can't see what these glasses
Yes, I see a thumbs up. William Vega. Maria Vieira,
Yes.
Stephen Weidberg,
Yes.
Simon Weiser. All right, motion passes, Madam Chair. The minutes are approved.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Committee reports, Julie Forster, Bylaws Committee. Julie Forster.
Here. Hi, everybody. Wait, I'm keep going in and out. I'm sorry. I hate this program. Hello, I'm back. Okay. Hi, everybody. I hope I'm doing this correctly. Okay, the Bylaws Committee, we met on August 12th. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, we met on August 12th at 6:30. In attendance was myself, co-chair Inglacia, Chesler, Needleman, Peterson, Vega. Absent was Rabbi Goldstein, but we had a quorum. Also attending our meeting was McKeeva, Ms. Vieira, and Ms. Cabrera. I hope I'm saying that correctly. As chair of the bylaws committee, I officially rescinded the report. Both proposals that were made to the committee were withdrawn. The bylaws committee members had an open discussion prior to the meeting being called to order. Ms. Iglesias held the discussion because I have technical problems. After resolving the computer issue, I soon joined the meeting. Roll call, we had a roll call was conducted in order to open the meeting. There were 5 members present and we met as a quorum. Report referred back to bylaws committee. At the CB1 board held on June 24th, the committee's report was tabled and, sorry, Chairperson Fuller sent it back to the committee. I, Judy Foster, as chair to the committee, officially rescinded the report. Both proposals that were made to the committee were withdrawn. Mr. Chesler made a motion to withdraw the report. The motion was seconded by Ms. Peterson. The members voted to withdraw the report. The committees voted as follows. Inglacia, yes. Chesler, yes. Needleman, yes. Peterson, Vega, yes. No no's and 1 abstention, me, no recusal. Discussion of the vote. Although proposals submitted by Ms. Peterson and Ms. McKeever were each individually withdrawn, there was still one item that came to the committee regarding voting by voice instead of paper ballot. That's going to be interesting. Retention of this one item addresses how members would be able to vote in a virtual setting. In this time of COVID, where in-person voting cannot be held, such a proposal is seen as an essential change. It is necessary for the community board to move forward and also for it to be in compliance with legal guidance. This point to modify the Brooklyn CB1 bylaws use of voice in place of paper ballots is highly recommended. Proposal to go forward, the committee members agreed that such a proposal should be reintroduced for the board members' consideration. It is important that a vote on the proposal is carried out at the board meeting scheduled today, September 8, 2020. The bylaws should further be amended to follow use of new electronic technology in the annual elections. The use of paper ballot is indicated. This should be deleted and replaced to allow elections to be conducted during video teleconference of meetings. I have my own opinions, but hey, this is what we're in right now. Number 10, the voting. C, all actions taken by the board shall be made by open vote. A record of the position taken by each member shall be made by open vote. A record of the position taken by each member shall be recorded and maintained in the board's official files and shall be available for public inspection. The bylaws committee shall recommend the appropriate mechanisms through which this provision shall be implemented on voice votes via voice, or a vote by a show of hands. The secretary shall note all negative votes and abstentions votes in the meeting minutes under the election section. Proposals: delete the use of paper ballots and implement the use of voice votes electronically. Delete the section crossed out and add the text that is underlined. Everybody following? Okay, thank you. I see one head. Thank you. Section 5, election of officers. Next page. Elections shall be conducted electronic voting and held during a scheduled meeting of the board designated for elections. Each present member shall cast a vote for a declared candidate by the use of a voice, via voice. Mr. Chesler made a motion to submit the above proposal for the bylaws change for the board members to consider. The motion was seconded by Inglesia. The motion was anonymously carried. The vote of the committee was as follows: 6 yes, myself, Inglesia, Chesler, Needleman, Peterson, Vega. No noes, no abstention, no recusals. We're on the 5th item. We had an open discussion. There was further discussion amongst the committee members on possible proposals for future bylaw changes. Mr. Chesler spoke about a possible change for the bylaws regarding elections. It was noted that any proposal would need to be formally introduced to the board's chairperson. The chairperson would then properly refer it to the bylaws committee for its review and recommendations. Mr. Chesler made a motion that this proposal for the bylaws change is to be submitted to the chairperson, Ms. Fuller. The motion was seconded by Inglesia. The motion was unanimously carried out. The vote was yes, myself, Inglesia, Chesler, Needleman, Peterson, Vega, no abstentions, no noes, and no recusals. Chesler related that he would make the proposal and send it to the chairperson, to Chairperson Fuller. And then we had an adjournment. Chesler made the motion to close the meeting. The motion was seconded by Vega, and we were in favor. The meeting was adjourned. Post note. Sequential by the bylaws, Mr. Chesler sent to Madam Chair. Dear Madam Chair, dear Chairperson Fuller, in light of distribution caused by the coronavirus, is somebody saying something? Coronavirus pandemic to the board's election schedule stipulated in the bylaws, in the board's bylaws. I'm submitting a proposal to amend the bylaws, the board bylaws related to the terms of officers and attendance committee members. Please see the proposal text below for your review. This amendment will allow the extension of those terms, which will allow the extension of those terms in the event that an elections are unable to be held in adherence to the timeline stipulated in the board bylaws until elections are held. It should be noted that both Jan Peterson, I'm sorry, y'all, and Trina McIver, I hope I'm saying it correctly, withdrew their original amendment proposals that included modifications to text related to officers' terms. At last night's meeting on the 12th of August of the Bylaws Committee, additionally, the committee voted to withdraw its committee report from the June 4th, 2020 meeting, except for one provision related to the elections. The proposal amendment is as follows. Elections of officers, Part 5, and C, elections. The terms of the officers elected at the board's election meeting shall commence on July 1st of that year and expire on June 30th of the following year. However, remember that word, however, in the event that elections cannot be held according to scheduled outlined in the bylaws, and in order to provide continually board officers and attendance committee terms shall be extended until elections can be held. So this was forwarded to the Bylaws Committee for consideration, subsequently to your review. Thank you, Stephen Chesler. Everybody was keeping up? Thank you, Vega.
Thank you, Julie. What's the committee recommendation? Is there any questions? I don't see any in the chat. Joanna, you see any questions in the chat?
No. I don't see any other questions.
Is there a recommendation? We need a vote. A motion?
Make a motion.
Somebody make a motion.
Marty Needleman so moves. Accept the recommendations of the committee.
I second the motion.
Second, yeah.
Okay, a motion has been made in second. Jerry, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Oh, I'm still here. Oh, turn off the mic.
All right, so the motion is to approve the recommendations of the committee. The response should be yes, no, or abstain. Gina Argento,
Yes.
Bogdan Bakarowski. Bogdan Bakarowski,
Yes, yes.
Lisa Bamonte, Gina Barros,
Yes.
Tion Brooks. Tion Brooks. No vote. Eric Berzaitis.
Yes.
Eric Berzaitis votes yes. Tom Burrows.
Yes.
Mr. Burrows votes yes. Iris Cabrera. Iris Cabrera. No vote. Phil Caponegro.
Yes.
Mr. Caponegro votes yes. Frank Carbone. Frank, I know you're having trouble. Text me and I will record your vote accordingly. I will announce it and record your vote accordingly. Stephen Chesler.
Yes.
Stephen Chesler votes yes. Michael Chirichella.
Yay.
Michael votes yes. Teresa Cinciata. No vote. Let the record show that Mr. Carbone just texted me with a yes. Giovanni D'Amato.
No.
Mr. D'Amato votes no. Erin Drinkwater. Erin Drinkwater.
Yes.
Erin Drinkwater votes yes. Arthur Dubinowski
Yes.
votes yes. Mr. Dubinowski votes yes. Mr. Elkins.
Abstain.
Mr. Elkins abstains. Ms. Foster. Julia.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Is that your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Foster votes yes. Joel Goldstein. No vote. Joel Gross. No vote. Sonia Iglesia.
Yes.
Sonia votes yes. Moisha Indig. Moisha Indig, no vote. Bozina Kaminsky.
Yes.
Bozina Kaminsky votes yes. Mr. Avram Katz. Avram Katz, no vote. William Clagsbold. Excuse me. Mr. Williams Clagbold, no vote. Ryan Coonan.
No.
Ryan Coonan votes no. Yoel Landau. Yoel Landau, no vote. Marie Leanza.
Yes.
Marie Leanza votes yes. Abraham Leibovitz. Abraham Leibovitz, no vote. Yoel Lowe. Yoel Lowe, no vote. Trina McKeever.
Yes.
Ms. McKeever votes yes. Sante Michelli
Abstain.
abstains. Toby Moskovitz.
Yes.
Toby Moskovitz votes yes. Martin Needleman.
Yes.
Martin Needleman votes yes. Rabbi Needleman. Rabbi Needleman. No vote. Karen Nieves.
Yes.
Karen Nieves votes yes. Mario Domerick.
Yes.
Mario Domerick votes yes. Janice Peterson.
Yes.
Janice Peterson votes yes. Dana Racklin.
Yes.
Dana Racklin votes yes. Isaac Sofer. Isaac Sofer. Rob Solano. Rob Solano. Rob Solano, no vote. James Stewart. James Stewart. Del Teague.
Yes.
Del Teague votes yes. Tommy Torres.
Yes, great job, Amanda.
Tommy Torres votes yes, I think. William Vega.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I heard you. Thank you. Thank you. William Vega votes yes. Maria Vieta.
Yes.
Maria Vieta votes yes. Stephen Weidberg.
Yes.
Stephen Weidberg votes yes. Simon Weiser. No vote. Motion passes 26 yes, 2 no, and 2 abstentions, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Jerry. Thank you, committee. Next item on the agenda is land use, Dale Teague. Dale?
Okay, so, so everyone, the land use committee met on September 3rd. We had a public hearing and a committee meeting, and it was with regard to the presentation that you all heard earlier for 16 to 420 Kent Avenue. So I'm not going to waste anybody's time by going over it again. I will just mention that the committee members did express concern that that the community board was not kept apprised of what was going on. And the applicants actually joined us and said that it was actually uncomfortable for them to have to come to us after the fact when everything was done. And they were very supportive of our sending a letter to the city and state officials saying that, demanding that if any of the agencies either request or require a change in plans that we have approved, that we be kept apprised and be given the opportunity to participate as things go along. Be that as it may, we heard only positive things from the community with respect to this development. Our concern, of course, was for the grass. However, the committee just voted in favor of approving the application. It just seemed that they had made very good faith efforts to try to keep the grass in place, but that it just is in a situation that doesn't really lend itself to passive use. And so although we had 10 people at the committee, it was, when it came time to vote, we couldn't access everybody. So the vote was 6 to 1, 6 people in favor, 1 person against. So I need a vote on that. And then I will also need a vote on sending out the letter, which we unanimously approved. So we need a vote on whether or not to approve the application or to in favor of what the committee suggested.
Just a quick clarification, Del, if I may. You did not have a quorum of the committee, so this is just
it's just my
a recommendation of those present.
Exactly, that's right. It's
Thank
just a
you.
recommendation, yes.
Thank you, Dale. Can we have a roll call vote? I know everybody's tired, and I'm sorry I had technical difficulty. So when we do the vote, can we vote? Just tell Jerry that yes, you're voting for both items or whatever. If you're voting for one item, tell them what item you're voting for. If you're voting for yes for both items, tell Jerry yes, both items. If you're voting for one item, tell Jerry yes on the item that you're voting on and no for the other.
Well, Dallas, and I don't know what you mean by 2 items. We just approved
You need 2
the
votes.
application, but I also needed a vote on, I needed a vote also on sending a letter. So
That's the
in
2
future.
votes.
Okay, great. I wasn't
That's the
sure
2
what you
votes. We're voting on your land use item and we're voting on your letter.
Okay.
That's why I said, we do both at the same time. So
Thank
if they're voting no for the letter, they can say no for the letter, yes for the land use item, or vice versa. So we don't
Okay.
have to do it twice.
Thank you.
Is that clear to everybody?
Yeah, but I'd like to make a motion to amend the recommendation that that the developer try and include plantings in the gravel area, based on the conversation that took place during the hearing.
I'm fine with amending it to ask the developer to try to add some more plantings. So I see that as a friendly, amendment.
I'm sorry.
I
it froze
second.
up. I didn't hear it.
I second the amendment.
Okay, so Steve Chesler would like to add to the recommendation that the developer try to add plantings to the area that is going to replace the grass. They will be having more seating in that area, and I think it's a very good, I think it's a friendly, amendment to ask them to try to add some more plantings to that area.
Okay, so now we got 3 votes.
No, just 2 votes, just 2.
He's asking for an amendment. You got to vote for the amendment and you got to vote for.
It's just a friendly amendment. It's just a friendly amendment. I would recommend, as the chair of the committee, that Steve's amendment be incorporated. There's nothing about what Steve just suggested that changes anything. No one would at the committee would have been against their trying to put in some plantings if they could.
Okay, so we still got 2 votes.
Still 2 votes.
You should,
You want to say something, Jerry?
I mean, it's going to be very difficult to tally a vote where you're saying yes on one and no on the other. You should really try to take this as a package, since that's the recommendation.
Okay, well, and this includes the letter also. Okay, so we're voting for 3 items: the amendment, the land use item, and the letter of recommendation. So it's 3 items that we are voting on.
Well, point of order, but the letter is going to agencies, isn't it?
Yes.
The letter is what?
It's intended to go to agencies, basically calling them to revise their process. That they should have notified the community board prior to this modification going through, not after the fact.
And that in the future, they should keep us as a part of the, keep us in the picture. And it's also better for the applicants. It was very uncomfortable for them to have to come hat in hand to say, well, please approve it, even though we know we've already done it. But our feeling was that they made these, for the most part, made all of the modifications because they were really told that they had to, because of the requirements of the fire department and the DEC.
Okay, so is it clear to all the board members that you're voting for 3 items?
Yes.
I don't see where there are 3 items. I think adding plantings to the lawn area is just a friendly amendment to what I recommended.
Come on, just 2, you're saying?
It's just 2 items. It's just the application and then also the letter.
Can we have a roll call vote, Jerry?
So the recommendation is to approve the consensus of the committee with the additions as stated by the committee chair, right, Del?
Yes.
Okay. So your vote should be yes, no, or abstention on the consensus recommendation. Gina Argento,
Yes.
Ogden Bakarowski,
Yes.
Lisa Bamonte. No vote. Gina Barros.
Yes.
Gina Barros votes yes. Tion Brooks, no vote. Eric Burzitis.
Yes.
Eric Burzitis votes yes. Tom Burrows.
No.
Burrows votes no. Iris Cabrera, no vote. Phil Caponegro.
Yes.
Phil Caponegro votes yes. Frank Carbone votes yes. Stephen Chesler.
Yes.
Stephen Chesler votes yes. Michael Chirichella.
Yay.
Michael Chirichella votes yes. Teresa Cinciata, no vote. Giovanni D'Amato.
No.
Giovanni D'Amato votes no. Aaron Drinkwater.
No.
Aaron Drinkwater votes no. Arthur Dubinowski.
Yes.
Votes yes. T. Willis Elkins.
No.
T. Willis Elkins votes no. Julia Amanda Foster.
Abstention.
Abstain. Julia Amanda Foster abstains. Joel Goldstein. No vote. Joel Gross. No vote. Sonia Iglesia. Sonia Iglesia.
Yes.
Sonia Iglesia votes yes. Moisha Indig. Moisha Indig. Bozina Kaminsky.
Yes.
Bozina Kaminsky votes yes. Avram Katz. Avram Katz, no vote. William Clagsbold. William Clagbold, no vote. Ryan Coonan.
No.
Coonan votes no. Yoel Landau. Yoel Landau, no vote. Marie Leanza. Marie Leanza.
Yes.
Yes. Marie Leanza votes yes. Abraham Leibovitz. Abraham Leibovitz, no vote. Yoel Lowe. Yoel Lowe, no vote. Trina McKeever.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Trina.
Yes.
Trina McKeever votes yes. Sante Michelli.
No.
Michelli votes no. Toby Moskowitz. Moskowitz, I'm sorry. Toby Moskowitz. Vote. Martin Needleman.
Yes.
Martin Needleman votes yes. Rabbi Niederman. Rabbi Niederman, no vote. Karen Nieves.
Yes.
Karen Nieves votes yes. Mario Domerick.
Yes.
Mario Domerick.
She said yes.
Yes.
Mario Domerick votes yes. Janice Peterson.
Yes.
Janice Peterson votes yes. Dana Racklin.
Yes.
Dana votes yes. Isaac Sofer. Rob Solano. Rob Solano, no vote. James Stewart. James Stewart, no vote. Del Teague.
Yes.
Del Teague votes yes. Tommy Torres.
Yes.
Tommy Torres votes yes. William Vega
Yes.
votes yes. Maria Vieira.
Yes.
Maria Vieira votes yes. Stephen Weidberg.
Yes.
Stephen Weidberg votes yes. Simon Weiser. Motion passes 23 yes, 6 no, 1 abstention.
Okay, that's it for my report. Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is Stephen Chestnut, Environmental Protection Committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On August 11th, Environmental Protection Committee met, and in attendance were myself, Willis Elkins, and Laura Hoffman as a non-board member, absent Trina McKeever, Eric Brusitis, William Clagsbold, Yoel Lowe, Janice Peterson, and non-board member Kevin Costa. Trina was intending to attend, but she had not one but 2 flat tires in transit to where she was going to connect. There are 2 items that we addressed. Also, we did not have a quorum, but we did not have voting items. And additional board members present were Tion Brooks and Marty Needleman. The first item was a brownfield cleanup program related to 34 Berry Street, which is on the corner of North 12th. I'm not going to read the entire written report. It's quite detailed, so I encourage you to go back and read it and the attached presentation. We get these reports coming through the board to our committee on a regular basis for volunteer cleanup programs, brownfield, and occasionally Superfund. But I don't know if people are aware of this property, but it's an already developed building with a lot of apartments and residents already, who've been living there for 10 years. And so that's we requested that Department of Environmental Conservation come in. And so Jane H. O'Connell, who's a regional remediation engineer for DEC, came in and presented. Essentially the site, its biggest use historically was a quinine factory, and there were other chemicals that were stored on site. And then there were other less nefarious uses, not nefarious, but toxic uses, more recently. And then it was the building, the previous structures were demolished, and it was developed in 2009. And at the time, petroleum was discovered, and the combination of the sub slab and remediation procedures, they proceeded with developing the building and getting a certificate of occupancy. But in 2017, through more additional testing, it was discovered that there is a chlorinated solvent, a massive plume under the entire property, which is called 1,2-DCA, which is a volatile organic compound. And so the developer has gone through numerous steps in the process of doing an investigation at DEC and putting an interim remediation measure in place, which is essentially extracting product, including the petroleum plume, which is more extensive than they originally found. There are probably over 2 dozen monitoring wells on site and adjacent to the site. The plume essentially covers about half of the property, the chlorinated solvent plume, and extends about halfway into Berry Street. And at this stage, they're devising a remedial access working plan, essentially the means by which they're going to remediate the contamination, and that decision will be made in this month, supposedly at this time. And so there was a rigorous discussion ensued after the presentation, and essentially we asked them, how the heck how was this additional plume not discovered earlier? And DEC says essentially they only test for petroleum. They don't test for these other chemicals. It's just if they happen to, show themselves during that testing, then they deal with it, which we found alarming. And the remediation and the air monitoring is taking place in the basement parking garage. Question was put to them, why isn't there air monitoring throughout, the residential portions of the building? They said they're only required to do it in the parking garage area. And part of what prompted our bringing the DEC in to talk about this is the notice was posted to a neighborhood Facebook page, and one person who posted was a former tenant of the building who lived there for 6 years, and said the year after they moved out, her son contracted cancer. And, and just to follow up that, the woman direct messaged me at one point and said he's in remission. But Laura Hoffman asked him, so it just, a health study should absolutely be done. And DEC did not really respond to that demand. And so unfortunately, it's just kind of left in the current state that it is, that they're just going to remediate the product. In the report, which you can see online, and I should also note, in the Jane O'Connell's presentation, which will also be attached, there are links to the webpage on DEC's website with detailed coverage of various all the aspects of the program. But what she reiterated is that basically the building's safe. We're little or no threat of vapor intrusion into the building. And unfortunately, there was a reporter from the Brooklyn paper, Kevin Dugan, who covered it and printed a article about it 2 days later, and created awareness about it. So, so that's, and also noted that the developer basically can get credit for this cleanup. You remarked, I mean, with the rents that people are paying to live there, it's just really incredible that they're receiving tax credits for building on top of this this toxic land. So that's basically where that was left. We're considering maybe bringing in bringing DOH and having additional conversation about this matter. The second item was an update on the National Grid North Brooklyn pipeline expansion and rate case rendered by Kim Frachek and Lee Zishi from St. Energy. They were in the board, earlier in the year regarding this matter. And essentially National Grid is finishing up, there are 5 phases of this 30-inch pipeline that they're laying from Brownsville to Greenpoint. Right now they're in East Williamsburg, Bushwick, finishing up phase 4 and they're beginning phase 5. And additionally, they're looking for a rate case, which is essentially a rate increase that they want from the Public Service Commission at the state level to help fund these last 2 phases to the amount of $185 million. State Energy and what's called the No North Brooklyn Pipeline Coalition has basically generated thousands of voice comments and written testimony, all calling against, killing this pipeline, defeating the rate case. And right now they're basically there's negotiations going on right now about how it's going to play out. One other factor is that the city basically passed a law that essentially bans expansion of fossil fuel infrastructure in New York City. So the focus of the resistance is on him right now, because one of the end goals of this pipeline is to reach a liquid natural gas terminal on Newtown Creek, which they want to expand, and would essentially enable trucks to move the product to other areas like Long Island and out of state. And those types of trucks are just incredibly volatile. If they were to explode, it would just be horrific and devastating. And so they need a special permit from the city to do that. So, the Resistance Coalition is really putting on the mayor and the city to not issue that permit. And so one thing they also asked of us was for the board to write a letter to the mayor urging him not to not issue a permit and to stick to the law. And so we're in the process of drafting that, and that'll come up the next committee meeting and then the next full board meeting for consideration. And that is it. Oh, I also just want to add that the presentation for St. Energy is also attached to the report with links and ways that you and networks can join the coalition if you choose to resist.
Thank you, Chancellor.
Yep.
Next item, Tom Burrow.
Are we asking questions? Excuse me. Are we asking questions or just commenting in chat? Hello?
I'm happy to field questions.
Well, I didn't know. I was just saying is that, I mean, it's quite an unbelievable report you just gave. I mean, frankly, I'm stunned. Am I the only one in the room stunned by these things? And I guess I want to know what you wanted us to do. Just to agree to support this last thing?
Well, one thing I failed to mention is that the developers are required to notify all the tenants that what is going on with this, the state of the property and the remediation. And DEC said that they distributed the brownfield cleanup notice to the tenants as well. The reporter interviewed tenants going in and out. Some of them knew nothing about the situation and indicated that the landlords or the property owners' notice seemed deceptive and not really, spelling out what's really going on, unfortunately. So, and it did get pressed, but yeah, we were discussing what further we could do.
Okay. Wow.
Thank you, Chesler. Next item on the agenda is Tom Burrows update.
Oh, sorry.
Tom?
Okay, sorry. Everybody on the board, please print out your agenda, which has the liquor license list under the public hearing agenda. As I said earlier, there's 45 new and 67 renewal. I do know that some of those licenses have been suspended because of COVID-19 violations. I do know some of them have noise and police problems, but I can't know every bar in the entire Community Board 1 area. So please go through the list and make note of any ones that you have particular problems with or ones you really like a lot or anything like that so that the committee can make responsible decisions at our meeting. And our next meeting is on the 22nd. I don't know how we're going to do it with that many applications. I'm trying to work out with my committee how to wean certain things out. So, but please go through the list because I don't want to hear about it after the fact that some bar that's been the horror of all times got approved by us. Okay, that's all I want to emphasize.
Thank you, Tom. That concludes our committee reports.
Oh, Alice?
Yes.
Chair Fuller?
Pardon me?
Chair Fuller, I just have, I had emailed you about one vote that we needed to do for transportation.
I did not get an email on you. We sent out 2 notices asking chairpersons if they wanted to give a report, an update, to let us know. I do not have anything down that you want to speak.
Okay, and then we also talked about it as well.
Pardon me?
We also spoke about it as well. I thought I had seen it forwarded to the board.
I don't have you down if you want to speak.
Well, I can be quick. It's one item.
Okay, you can be quick, but let's just emphasize this to all chairpersons. We sent out a notice asking chairpersons to let us know if they want to speak. I would appreciate it if everybody would follow this so we can make these meetings as seamless as possible so we'll know who's speaking. Okay, Eric.
Okay, so yes, I'm sorry about that. I did send it last week, but whatever. Anyway, so we did not have a meeting. Thanks, Will. We did not have a meeting this summer, but we did take up the item of 200 Kent. Back in February, the board had voted to approve it with 3 conditions. One was that the Trader Joe's that's moving into the retail space and the developer, Mr. Rosen, come to some agreement that they would not allow trucks larger than 53 feet to access the loading zone. And this is, just to refresh your memory, this is to change the direction of River Street to allow for trucks to enter and egress the area around 200 Kent, which is Metropolitan to North 3rd. So the first condition was to not allow 53-foot trucks. Second condition was to introduce a dedicated split light at Metropolitan and Kent to allow safer crossing for pedestrians and cyclists, and another stop control at North 3rd and Kent. Those conditions, we did receive a letter that was forwarded, I believe yesterday, from the firm, Stuart Schwartz, that's representing the client in this matter, that they would commit to keeping the size of the trailers to the smaller size, the 58 foot, and not allowing, which is actually 51 with all the cab and everything else. But we did receive that letter with that commitment from them. DOT needs to go through its regular bureaucratic process to establish warrants for the turn signals. So although the committee did almost insist that we have that stop the turn control at Metropolitan and Kent, it does need to go through the regular DOT review. Based on our letter to DOT, we submitted, the board submitted 2 requests to study those 2 intersections. And because this is a major change, if the study doesn't warrant a signal change now, we can reapply within the 36-month window because there is a major change in the traffic pattern. So DOT will have a better idea of before and after, so we can better assess the safety there. So the DOT does need to move ahead with the direction change for River Street. Based on the goodwill of the developer and Trader Joe's, as well as the process going forward with DOT, I'd just like to recommend somebody make a motion to approve the direction change for River Street.
I make a motion. Del Teague.
Phil Caponegro, second.
Can I have a roll call vote, please?
You want to just repeat the motion?
Yes, the motion is to approve the committee's recommendation from February to approve the direction change based on a good faith effort to meet our conditions, the board's conditions. Does that work? It's basically a follow-up vote to the February vote.
Can we do a roll call vote, Jerry?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So the motion is to approve the recommendation from the committee. Your vote response should be yes, no, or abstain. Gina Argento,
Yes.
Agnes Bakarowski,
Yes.
Lisa Bamonte, Gina Barros,
Yes.
Tion Brooks, Eric Brusitis,
Yes.
Tom Burrows,
I'm voting yes, and Lisa Bamonte said she couldn't get on by web, but she would vote yes.
It's having trouble with her computer.
Yeah.
Iris Cabrera, Phil Caponegro.
Yes.
Phil votes yes. Frank Carbone. Frank Carbone votes yes. Stephen Chesler.
Yes.
Stephen Chesler votes yes. Michael Chirichella.
Yay.
Michael Chirichella votes yes. Teresa Ciata. Giovanni D'Amato.
Yes.
Giovanni votes yes. Aaron Drinkwater.
Yes.
Aaron votes yes. Arthur Dubinowski.
Yes.
Arthur votes yes. T. Willis Elkins.
Yes.
Timothy votes yes. Julia Amanda Foster?
Yes.
Julia votes yes. Joel Goldstein? Joel Goldstein, no vote. Joel Gross? Joel Gross, no vote. Sonia Iglesia? Sonia Iglesia? No vote. Moisa Indig? Moisha Indig? Ozina Kaminsky?
Yes.
Ozina votes yes. Avram Katz? Avram, no vote. William Klagsbold? William Klagsbold, no vote. Ryan Coonan?
Yes.
Ryan votes yes. Yoel Landau? Yoel Landau, no vote. Marie Lianza? Marie Lianza?
Yes.
Marie votes yes. Abraham Leibovitz? Abraham? Abraham, no vote. Yoel Lowe? Yoel Lowe, no vote. Trina McKeever?
Yes.
Trina votes yes. Sante Michelli?
Abstain.
I'm sorry?
Abstain.
Abstain. Sante abstains. Toby Moskovitz? Toby Moskovitz? No vote. Martin Needleman?
Yes.
Martin Needleman votes yes. Sonia Iglesia just texted me. Her Wi-Fi went down. I vote yes.
Yes. I'm back on. Yes.
Oh, we're back on, huh?
Thanks. Yes.
You're all around. All right, thank you. Rabbi Needleman. Rabbi Needleman, no vote. Karen Nieves?
Yes.
Karen votes yes. Mario Domerick?
Yes.
Mary votes yes. Janice Peterson?
Yes.
Janice votes yes. Dana Racklin?
Yes.
Dana votes yes. Isaac Sofer? Isaac Sofer, no vote. Robert Solano?
Yes.
Robert Solano votes yes. James Stewart? James, no vote. Del Teague?
Yes.
Del votes yes. Tommy Torres? Tommy votes yes. William Vega?
Yes.
William votes yes. Maria Vieira? Maria Vieira? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I can't hear you, but I can
Yes,
see you.
yes.
Thumbs up. Okay, thank you. Stephen Weidberg?
Yes.
Stephen Weidberg votes yes. Simon Weiser? No vote. Thirty yes, 0 no, 1 abstention. Motion passes.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Transportation Committee is going to have a meeting Thursday, next Thursday, the 14th, I think. The agenda will be amended. Right now, it's Broadway Stages, looking for an open streets application, but there may be additional items, and that's it. Thanks.
14th is a Monday, so you're talking about the 17th, I think it's a Thursday.
17th, yes, thank you.
It's a good thing you were going to be quick, Eric. Thank you.
Hey, sorry, what am I going to do?
Yeah, so much for quick.
Hey.
Hey, we still here. Thank you, Eric. Jan, did you speak after the moment of silence?
No.
Okay, you can do it now.
Okay, I just wanted to, the Women's Issues Committee has been talking about how to give recognition and honor the people that since the end of February in our neighborhood who have been doing work to help mitigate the impact of the coronavirus. And I just want to list some of the names that people have put forward in more, I was going to have it in the quiet time, but just to list, but there are others. And we would like you to send in to me and to other people on the committee the names of people that and organizations that have really helped do the opposite, I think, of the census, but who really have gone out of their way to make a difference. And some of the names that have come up is, first of all, Swinging 60s with John Pell and his whole team in the beginning days, staying in and cooking and delivering food to people like Tish and her husband and people throughout the neighborhood. Deborah Benders at Cooper Park, who has provided, created a way to provide hundreds of people in Cooper Park food and distribute food because people don't go in to distribute. And she's also, Cooper has also provided food to other organizations in the neighborhood that didn't have food. There is, I don't know, Sonia Velasquez, UNCCA, St. Lucy's Old Roman Catholic Church was nominated. Neil Sheehan and Felice Kirby, North Brooklyn Angels, who I think have gone everywhere because they certainly went to Cooper and they went all over. Tina Shipman from Bushwick Houses. Blair Pagno, Josh Cohen, owners of the Jimmy Diner. La Service. Certainly know that Salerno Garage was all over TV for waiving people's rent for all those buildings near the garage and other things that Salerno did. St. Nick's Alliance has been, and I know Marie Leonza is part of that, calling every senior that's living in the senior housing to make sure they're okay, but delivering food, taking care of needs that have arisen. The Bushwick Generator, which I don't know what that is, but has provided food and support. And I will stop at that and just say, I think on behalf of the Community Board 1, it's very important to recognize the incredible things that people do. I know I've seen many board members here that have gone out of their way. This was not a definitive list, but it would be very nice if people here would just quietly nominate people. We can send out a form, but I don't think it's necessary. People in organizations that you think, and that Rabbi Niederman and others, I know that there is an ambulance, the ambulance from Hatzalah ambulance has not only been carrying people in your community, but trying to keep them out of the hospital and providing oxygen tanks. So I think it would be very good for us we want to compile a report and make a formal recognition. And so on behalf of the board, I want to thank you. Again, we want to thank you all for the work you've done. And obviously, if we've left somebody out, you're going to send it in. We've done the best we can with the communication systems before us now.
Hey, Jan, can I add to this? St. John's Church?
Please do. I appreciate it greatly.
They give food to the pantry 3 days out of the week, and they've been doing it since March.
Wow.
And Jason Tabar, the pastor, just left, and he should be recognized for his hard work.
That I will put down, and I think, and these are people that don't have much money, and churches that don't have much, going way out of their way.
3 days out of the week.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. I think we should add Jerry Esposito to that list for keeping our office open every day since we've been in the pandemic. Doing all the community calls. We thank you, Jerry, for doing that.
And Marie, I think. Yeah.
Maria and Joanna. Jerry's been there every day, though.
Wow.
Let's add the office. Let's add Community Board 1 office to the list.
I definitely got it right there.
Thank you so much. Okay.
Joanne, I had Jessica Rocho, Community Relations from Woodhull Hospital.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jan. If anybody else have anything that they want to add, please send us an email to the office and we'll get it to Jan, because we want to recognize anybody and everybody that what they did to help us get through this pandemic and still doing. So we don't want to leave anybody out. So anybody that know of anybody, please send an email to the office so we can get it to Jan. Thank you. Jerry, do we have any elected officials that to speak, that signed up to speak?
Do you have any electeds?
Yes, we had Mr. Levin, Steve Levin.
Hi, everybody.
Wow.
Sorry.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry I'm echoing so much. I'll turn mine down. Can you all hear me okay?
Yeah. We're all having technical difficulty tonight, Steve.
Okay, I'm seeing a thumbs up. Okay.
Loud and clear.
Hi, everybody. So I wanted to just say a few words about the budget, the fiscal 21 budget. And first off, Trina wrote if I had an update on the National Grid pipeline at the PSC. I just looked through the PSC's agenda from June through August, and I didn't see anything. That doesn't mean it didn't happen. I didn't see anything in the PS. I'm not like, I don't know the PSC agenda that well to know what to look for exactly, but I don't see it as having been voted on by the PSC. But I will look more into that, Trina, and get back to you. This year's budget was, by far the worst budget we've had in a few generations. We had a budget deficit of about $9 billion that opened up from early March until we passed the budget in late June, and that's close to 10% of our budget. It's just a massive amount to come up so quickly. I mean, we didn't even, we hadn't even contemplated that in the preliminary budget presented by the mayor in January. So, and then we were faced with this kind of unfortunate set of circumstances as well, because the mayor wanted to get borrowing power, but needed that borrowing power from Albany. And I think Albany was disinclined to allow the mayor to borrow because they didn't see him as, being a, really thoughtful steward of the public dollar, the public purse. So they didn't give him borrowing authority, and then we did not get any help from Washington because Mitch McConnell continues to hold up any COVID-related stimulus, and so we had hoped that we were going to get a federal stimulus by May, and we didn't get anything. So there we were in June trying to deal with $9 billion, and we were able to get some out of reserves, attrition, things like that. But when the rubber met the road, we saw cuts. We tried to avoid layoffs. There were seasonal workers that were not rehired. So we saw, most noticeably, I think, parks seasonal workers were not rehired. The POPS program, the Parks Opportunity Program. So that means that there were a lot of summer workers that were not there for the Parks Department, but we didn't have layoffs per se in the Parks Department. But as you all know, the city's still facing layoffs, and the mayor's threatening 22,000 layoffs. And we still don't have borrowing authority, and we still don't have any word from Washington whatsoever, anything close to an agreement between the House and the Senate. So we're on our own as a city. We're fending for ourselves, and so we at the council made a lot of cuts into discretionary programs, things that we had built up over years, mostly programmatic dollars, but you'll see it in sanitation cuts, so basket service and things like that. You'll see it in your parks. You'll see it, with just its attrition. There's a hiring freeze. We obviously, that the most kind of controversial aspect of this all was the NYPD budget. We did cut $420 million out of the NYPD budget, out of a budget of about close to 6 billion, and that was real cuts. That most of it was overtime, and overtime it's complicated because overtime, it accrues over the course of the year, but they agreed to give us a kind of I don't know if it's monthly or bi-weekly accounting of overtime spending, and so far it has not gone over what they had committed to. So far it's along the trajectory that we had agreed on, and they're not overspending on overtime. We will continue to keep a close eye on that because that's not the kind of thing that will just explode overnight. If it was to go over, it would be going over monthly. We anticipate a $420 million cut to NYPD. In addition to the overtime, there are no layoffs, but there were 2 classes that got canceled, 2 NYPD classes. So out of 4 for the year. So that will mean less cops hired this year. I mean, this was brutal. I felt an obligation to vote for the budget. Antonio, my colleague, voted against the budget, but we were both on the budget negotiating team. On Zoom, in the Zoom room for hours and hours on end. Going into every line of this budget. I felt an obligation to vote for it, in a sense, because it was so awful. That I felt like somebody had to do it because it's not just one agency that gets funded in this budget. It's not just the NYPD budget. It's not just, it's everything. Every budget, every agency budget was there, and hard decisions had to get made. And so I felt some obligation to do that, knowing that it was a kind of no-win politically. But among other things, the city council discretionary funding to community boards that got cut. So I'm sorry about that, but that got X'd out, and hopefully that can get restored. If we're able to get the revenue back, but as it were, that's gone for FY21. And happy to answer any questions about it. I don't have it like all at the tip of my fingers, but if I don't have the answer, I'll get back to whoever asked the question.
Thank you, Steve. We ask people to put questions in the chat. Joanne, is there any questions in the chat?
No, there's no questions.
All right, thanks everybody, and I'm
Steve, can I
around.
ask
So
a question?
if feel free to reach out to me or anyone on my staff, and I'm here. I'm here for at least the next 18 months or so.
Thank you so much, Steve.
15 months.
Thank you so much, Steve. We appreciate the update.
Thank you, Chair.
You're welcome. Bye.
Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Next item on the agenda
Yeah,
is Parks Department.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There's another speaker?
During public session, we had one person who submitted written testimony, but I see that he's here as an attendee. Do you just want to acknowledge you have his testimony?
Did we ever call Senator Kavanaugh and Julie
No, not yet,
Salazar?
because we jumped over with the elected official that was present. Kavanaugh, we called in the beginning, there was no show. And same thing with Salazar's office, there was no show. That was in the beginning. And I don't see them.
Okay, I know that the mayor's office wanted to speak. Well, the Parks Department, next item on the agenda is Parks Department minute as read. So we have no other public speakers.
This is Edward from the mayor's office, if I can get.
Wait, Edward, you're coming under the electeds. We're in the public session now. So Marie, there's
just this one gentleman. I don't know if he wants to speak. but he did send written testimony. I'll see if he wants to say something.
Is he on the phone or?
Yeah, he just texted in the chat that he wants to speak. Is it Bartley Cohen? Marie?
Yeah, I see something. Is that me, Bartley Cohen? Mr. Cohen, are you there?
He's on as a panelist, but I don't know why he's not speaking.
Okay.
He's not
Well,
able
we
to
don't-
speak, but we have his written testimony.
Okay, so we can distribute that to the board. Okay, no other speakers, public officials. Jerry, do you have a list? I know we have Edward, Mr. Sonero from the mayor's office, and I know he's been waiting a long time. Okay, Edward.
Good night, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, right? It's pretty late, so I'll be brief. First, I want to echo the comments made by the chair about the board staff. They've been really present throughout this pandemic, and so I tip my hat off to Jerry, Marie, Joanna, because when we were at the height of this, they were really responsive to my inquiries. So just want to give shout outs to them as well. And so far as my update, I just want to echo some of the things that the mayor spoke about during his media availability this morning, namely that hopefully everyone had a good Labor Day weekend. But if you traveled outside of New York City, there are 33 states and territories that if you travel to them, it is the safe thing and the mindful thing for you to isolate for at least 14 days upon your return. Some of these states include Alabama, Alaska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Texas, and some of the territories are like Guam, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. So if you've traveled, again, we want to keep up the good work that the city has been doing, and all of you New Yorkers have been doing in driving down this pandemic. And so the only thing I would add to that point is if you want to get tested, you can go to New York City Health and Hospitals. They have some of the best turnaround times right now. The nearest site to Board 1, or at least in the area, is Jonathan Williams Houses or Gotham Health, which is 333 Roebland Street. They have COVID testing and antibody testing. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., and Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Lastly, again, I'll be brief. I know we've been long. Is on the school opening. Today was the first day that teachers reported to duty. On to 2016, teachers will start instructing kids remotely as they continue to prepare for in-person classes. And then on Monday, September 21st, it's when we'll have the first day of like blended learning, where some students will report in person part of the week, and then will be remote on the second half, or whatever the breakup is. As part of that, the mayor also announced the Learning Bridges program, which is going to provide free childcare supervision to children from pre-K and K through 8, because some folks go to work and they need childcare in order for the kids to attend remotely. So if folks are interested in that, they can go to New York schools.nyc.gov/learningbridges, and they can learn more on that. So I think I'll keep it there. Again, thank you everyone for your dedication, for staying so long. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. Okay, I see that we have a Miss Sharon Pope Marshall that wants to speak. Let me just make this announcement. The public elected officials, we have a spot for them. We send out emails. We ask everybody to send an email in advance to the office so that we'll know you want to speak. Anybody that want to speak in the public session, we also would like for you to send an email to the office so we'll know that you want to speak. That's the only way we can make this as seamless as possible, is that we know who's going to speak, and then we call their name. Ms. Pope, are you ready to speak? Marsha, Ms. Pope, Marsha. Apparently, she's having technical difficulty. Okay, apparently she's not able to speak. Is there any new business? Is there any old business?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Well, first I'll just, could I request that the,
Can anybody hear me? We'll never go home tonight. Hi, my name is Sharon Pope. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. In the future, Ms. Pope, if you'd like to speak, send us an email to the office, please.
Am I being allowed to? Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Do I have the opportunity to speak now, or should I send an email to the office? It's up to the board.
She's on. Let her go.
I'm sorry, Madam Chair.
She's waited this long.
Let her speak.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak, Madam Chair, and also community board members. Thank you. I represent Bike New York, and this is a tough situation with the pandemic. Since 1977, we have been biking the streets of New York City. We know that this city and state is New York tough, and Bike New York is New York tough. I want you to know that we have created our very first virtual event, which I will put in the chat. It's called Spoketober, and it was created to be family friendly, very low.
Can anybody hear her?
No.
No.
No. No.
She is cut out.
No. Chancellor, go ahead.
I was just request that the revision of the revised bylaws, if could be posted to the website, just for, and now that the bylaws have been revised to allow for electronic elections, can the election process proceed with nominations and the elections in the near future?
I think we're gonna need a month and a year and a date to start this. I didn't see no starting period, no starting time.
How about a month?
How about the bylaws committee tell us when they want to start?
Well, it seems like it's at the discretion of the board.
The bylaws would have.
Julia Foster, we didn't come up with a date, and sitting as the chair and watching this program and watching this webpage, I think there's still some kinks that need to be worked out before we make a final decision to move forward as to picking a date. I go in and out, chair people go in and out, people that are here can't speak. There's some kinks that still need to be worked out before we come up with a definitive date.
Would it be possible to have nominations next month?
Once again, there's still some kinks that need to be worked out. We need to work some things out before we could just say we're going to nominate and have an election. We didn't even give a date. As a board, as a committee, Makiva, as a committee, this committee has not picked a date for when this will go through. And I'm not sure, I could be wrong. Does it still have to go to the law department for approval from the borough president? I need clarification.
The bylaws changes that you made tonight. Can you hear me?
Yes.
The bylaws changes that were made tonight allow for an electronic process. However, the bylaws would have to reflect the date and the period, the month and the period when want to have the election. Just the way the bylaws, just like the paper ballot called for a May nomination and a June election, if you're going to have an electronic vote, then the bylaws must reflect that accordingly.
Instructions say do not use that.
And we as committee did not do that section of the revision.
Then
We were not told that either.
It's in the bylaws.
Well, that should have been brought up then if you knew that.
Didn't the bylaw amendments indicate something about the next available meeting? So there was some in the proposed bylaw amendments
Nope.
that
expanded the dates.
If you're cutting sheets, it keeps down the tables. You don't have to use plants.
Expand.
That's it. It's done.
The amendment that's in the pipeline that was at the end of the report says that, officers' terms will be extended until elections are held. So I feel like that implies that just have elections.
Maybe a rotary table or a tool changer.
It says until they're held, but we have not picked a date to hold them or picked the nominations.
It should be really good.
It has to be clarified. Things have to be clarified to.
Julia, I'm a little confused because the whole point of what we did was to not be in this situation right now.
But we are.
I hear you, but we have a committee and I would say that we then.
This committee needs to meet again and pick a date and put it in the bylaws.
Why didn't you pick a date and put it in the bylaws? Why are you wasting your time? Why did you pick a date? No. Democracy. Pick a date. You did a whole about 3 months to pick a date. This is absurd. We don't get to nominate people next month because you have to go to a meeting and have another discussion about whether.
Brian, you should have been there. Thank you for muting her mic. We have not picked a date. Let's make sure we are doing things under the correct laws. Let's do it right. Yes, we had a couple of months. We've had a lot of technical problems. I couldn't even make it to the last meeting because I had a blowout here. I couldn't even get my computer on. As you see, I'm going in and out now, and I don't know why. Please, not trying to delay it. And I don't think anybody else is trying to delay it. But if we must, as a committee, meet to pick a date, that is something we need to do. I don't like going back and forth with people. If that's what we need to do, we need to do it.
Just pick a date now.
Everybody
get your calendars out. Pick a damn date.
I think that the proposed
We have a quorum of our committee
I
here.
think that the
Can we talk to
proposed.
each other right now.
I think that, hold on a second. I think that.
Just pick a date already.
It's after 9 o'clock. I have a child in the room that I need to get to.
Hello. Hello.
No, Jan.
Hello.
I have a child I need to get to after 9 o'clock who has not had his dinner.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Alessia.
Literally.
Can we just pick a date? We agree upon it today. If we're gonna take nominations.
Go away. Go to your house. Go to your fucking house.
Oh my
Go to
God.
your fucking house.
I can mute your mic.
Oh my God.
What
Can
happened?
we just pick a date? Julia, Marty, Steve, can we
Because
pick a date?
the bylaw amendment says it's at the next available date. So it was
And
not.
we have not picked a date. And at this time, I really want to get off this computer. I'm not trying to block anybody.
The board can choose a date.
My September calendar is busy.
The board can choose a date.
You're too busy to vote next month. You can't nominate people? Come on.
Mute her, Mike. You sat in none of our meetings. You don't know what's going on.
Julia, I was
know what's going on. You're trying to not let us nominate people in 30 days because.
Thank you. This is what happens at our meetings. Everybody wants to talk at the same time. Constantly.
My God, this sounds like the President of the United States.
Yes, it does.
Okay, but it's all still about democracy and moving it. So Julia, we have a quorum right here.
So why can't we just why can't we just,
Why can't the six of
why
us talk
can't we
right
do it
now?
at the next meeting? Why can't we do it at the next meeting, next month? Why can't the names be, the nominations?
Take place next month.
At the
and
next
have a
month's meeting, and then the following meeting, we'll do it.
Okay, this is the committee meeting. I like for my committee to actually be able to sit down and argue it out, simply because I know
Nothing to
I have
argue. We
agendas.
want-
Hold up. I have agendas. I have a lot of meetings in September. I am not only on CV1. Okay?
Julia,
My phone is
Julia, our whole
constantly ringing
committee
during
is
this meeting.
agreed
Dan,
already.
you got your chance to speak. Let me speak.
Our whole group has already agreed.
Julia, may I please, what I'm suggesting is that the nominations be brought forth at the next monthly meet. Are we meeting next month? Are we having another meeting next month? Can we do it next month?
Sure. Why?
And, like.
Maria, the
I
bylaws,
agree with Maria.
the bylaws would have to reflect the
Can
month of the
I
meeting
can
and
I
the term
say
of the
something?
offices.
This is Bożena Kamiński, and I'm very concerned about today. We had a problem signing in, and everybody was having difficulties. And how can you, in right mind, have the election this way when we all have a problem signing in? Just wait until the next meeting, have everything go smoothly, and then proceed with the election. For God's sake, I mean, I don't think there is a big issue of people being elected to the position. I mean, we all know each other. We all know supporting each other, for God's sake.
You have
So-
nothing? Can't hear anything?
Heard that. I'd like to read section C, elections in the bylaws. Item 10, special elections. In the event of an interim vacancy, a special election would be called with nominations and then a special election to be held at the next available meeting of the full board following nominations. I feel like the bylaws allow for us to hold special nominations and special elections.
So what are you proposing?
Well, how about next month for nominations and the following month, we have the elections.
Okay. And we
Which is what's being proposed, right?
I can't hear y'all. I'm going in and out.
So Julia, he's saying that we have the nominations at the next board meeting. Jerry, when is that? October what?
October 13th.
Okay, October 13th, and right now it is September 9th or 8th. So our bylaws committee, Julia, we could meet in the next 2 days. And
You can meet in the next 2 days.
Online.
Okay. Well, I won't be there.
Where are you leaving town?
No, it's nothing with that. Like I said, I have a schedule too. I mean, we all on this board have a life.
As the chair,
and other
Julia, give us
commitments.
several dates. Give us several dates. We can meet.
So I would propose, if you don't mind, I would propose having the nominations at the next meeting, which is October 13th, and the elections in November.
Right.
Yes.
Because
I would
isn't
also
anything
propose that we pick that as a
And right
committee, we
now,
should
our
have picked a
bylaws
date.
committee, we have a quorum of our bylaws committee right here, right now on this phone.
Marty?
Yeah.
Wouldn't the bylaws have to reflect that? That was the whole purpose of having the bylaws
what he
to
said.
state the term of offices?
But it says the next possible date. Until the next possible, till the next
I need my
possible.
bylaws.
Yeah.
No, but that's not the regular term of offices.
Right, no, it extends until the election, until the offices are until the next available date to have the elections.
That's the public offices law, yes.
As I said, just keep it simple. If we can have a
The
committee meeting,
the committee should really reconvene to come up with a date of a vote and the term of offices.
and put it in the bylaws and make it
Exactly.
Somebody said that at our last meeting. We all sat there for 2 hours. That's why we're annoyed.
Well, Jan, nobody brought up the fact that we should be putting a date, a specific
I
date
know,
in there.
why
And
not?
it's now being called out. And I think, I don't think,
not
I
our
say
job,
this, that
Del.
we need to adjust it and do
Del,
it correctly.
the Alice
That's
got
what
cut
it's
off
stating.
again, so it's back to you to chair the meeting.
It was assumed at that meeting that the election would take place, the nominations would, the bylaws would get voted on at this meeting. The nominations would be the subsequent meeting, and the vote would be the October meeting, and the voting would take place in November. I sat in on both bylaws meetings.
That's not what we said.
That
We
was
did not
our
say
intent.
that it would be held in November. No one put that, it's not in our minutes. No one made a statement as
That
that.
was our intent. That's what we
It might
said.
have been the intent.
Can I ask a
And it's
question?
not in the minute. It might have been the intent, but it's not in the minutes. If we needed to be in the minutes and we needed to have a specification date, then we need to do so. Come on, stop trying to cut corners. If you need to do this, do it.
Julia.
Let me ask a question here. I'm chairing now, so I have to ask a question. Are we fighting over essentially 1 month? In other words, I think, is Julia saying, let the bylaws committee meet and then
Real simple.
and then the bylaws committee will present this to the board in October, and then nominations would be in November, and then voting in December, versus the nominations 1 month earlier and the voting 1 month earlier.
Del was trying to calm them down now and saying that they're
Real
fighting
simple.
over
Talking
1 month.
about 1 month now. I think we're
Real
fighting
simple.
now over.
They want to have elections next month right away.
I would propose
It is in the bylaws. You don't have to hear from anyone else stating it was never presented. It was never in the bylaws. You're not doing anything by the book. Just real simple. I don't understand it, why it's got to be now when you didn't put it in there. Nobody
Right
brought
now,
it up.
Julia.
I had a lot of, Janet, I'm speaking now. I had a
Okay.
lot of stuff in my head about these rules and this bylaws. And of course, folks met on their own and discussed it, and I wasn't included, but that has nothing to do with it. The fact is, we did not pick a date. We as a group, I'm not doing this right now. I want to get off this meeting. We as a committee needs to get together, decide on a date, and look at your calendars and make sure you're available.
Right
Stop
now,
trying to
Julia,
push stuff ahead that shouldn't be pushed ahead.
If that's true, Julia, give us a date we can meet. That's what we need. 'Cause
Hello.
You've been the
We have-
problem.
Excuse me, do we have a quorum with the board members that we can all decide today to get this out of the way?
Yeah, I would propose that we have the nominations on Tuesday, October 13th at the next meeting.
We're trying to pick a date to have a nomination committee. Let's make sure it's in the bylaws. Please stop cutting corners, people.
Nominations at the
Give
next
us a
meeting.
date, Julia, that you're available.
The next date I'm
Elections in
available
November.
would be to chair the meeting. Yeah,
Again,
Nominations October 13th.
would be, no, we're not having nominations October 13th.
Why not?
Make sure this is in the bylaws and that it's in there and that
I'll let
nobody
you
can
follow
come
the
back and say we
bylaws.
did
No, it says we
something.
can hold-
The current bylaws say
Yeah, you're
June.
just making everybody
The
mad.
current bylaws say June and July. And what we
And we
said is,
just ratified that.
what we said, well, no, that was the original bylaws that we're amending now. The most
Right.
recent amendment says at the next available date. And we didn't put in a month.
I think Jerry made that clear that was for another section.
No.
I think that's for a special election. I don't think this is a special election, but
Certainly a special election.
I just, it seems to me this argument is basically over
1 month.
1 month difference.
1 month.
And
a date for our meeting.
Look,
Wait.
I personally very much want this to be over with. I want the
Right.
elections to be had.
But I want it to be correct.
I mean, is it worth for everyone to have such
hostility and anger over a 1 month difference? I don't know. I'm just
Well,
asking
it will
you.
be 1 month, it'll be
Not
2 months or
worth it
6
if you
months.
get us to sign
No,
with
no, well, it
Julia.
shouldn't be 6 months, but my understanding is the bylaws committee can meet and then can present the date to at the next October, at the October meeting. And then I would hope then that means that the nominations are the next meeting and then the elections are the next meeting.
I
But
think everybody agrees with your thing. If you give us a date, Julia will give us a date that she can do, because we have been trying to get these dates of meetings, and this is getting tiring.
Okay, so Jan, are you saying you need a date for the next
Jan,
October
Jan,
meeting? Is that
Date
right?
right now that we
I
can.
have my calendar in front of me. I was not available in the next 2 days. That's why you said you want to have it in 2 days.
I
I'm
just
not
want a
available in
date,
the
any
next 2
date
days.
right now, I'll take.
I don't know if anybody else's calendar is good. I have the 22nd.
Of September?
I have an eye doctor's appointment on the 28th. Yes.
Is that a holiday, Marty?
I don't think so. Let me check. But I have CB1
That's the
meeting.
calendar. I don't see it. St. Martin's is the 21st, that Monday.
Let me check.
Where's my phone?
22nd sounds good.
September 22nd is not a holiday. It's not a Jewish holiday.
Good.
Okay, September 22nd.
Okay. And I know I'll be in New York. We could even meet in the office.
The SLA committee is meeting that day also.
We have SLA that night, so we have WebEx. You can't have it.
Yeah, we can meet in the office.
Ay, Dios mío.
How about the 24th? Anybody?
Marie's got the calendar with all the meetings on it.
Why don't we just do it? What time is your meeting over? What time is SLA over?
There's 125 licenses.
No,
It'll
that's not a
probably
good
go on the
idea.
entire
It's
week.
gonna go on fast.
That's not a good idea.
That's a long meeting.
How about the 24th? Marie, are we good for that?
I have conflicts myself.
Why don't you get some dates, and then we'll have to check with the committee members to see if they're available.
Marie, is the
That's what they're
24th
trying to do
available?
now.
Is the
Yes.
24th available? Yes. Yes, Ms.
I'm not available, but I'm not the only one in the world.
Who's not available? And who else?
There's a Los board meeting that night.
I'm clear on the
Can
24th.
we meet at 5 o'clock on the 22nd?
Or the 24th, yeah.
I'm good on the
What time
24th.
is your meeting?
Which meeting?
The
Tom,
Forest meeting.
Which one?
The
SLA.
Forest.
SLA? What time is the SLA meeting? 6:30? Tom?
It's the same time every month, 6:30.
So we
6:30.
could meet at 5 o'clock.
No, it's not a good day.
No,
You
we're not
can't
gonna
do it
push
the
that.
same
No.
day. You
Oh,
can't.
God.
No. Thursday the 24th. I'm good.
What about 5 o'clock on the 24th?
Okay.
Good.
I can do that.
5 o'clock works for me on the 24th.
For me.
Yes.
Okay.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yay.
that's gonna be a board meeting or
No.
No, that's a bylaws committee meeting.
bylaws committee? Okay. 5 o'clock on the 24th.
Wake up, please.
That's a bylaws committee meeting.
It's almost 10 o'clock, guys.
Yeah, and my kid hasn't eaten dinner.
But Marie, you're home. Marie, you're home already.
Is mad at me. I don't know about your kid.
All right, so it's settled that you're going to have the meeting is settled. Bylaws committee meeting will be held, and then you can vote on
I'm
the
signing
dates
off.
in
Bye,
October.
Marie.
And make sure that it's
Primary.
in the bylaws,
See,
that we don't
how
have
upset
anybody
she is.
saying we're just picking random dates to have elections. It will be concrete in the bylaws.
Yeah, June. It says June or July in the bylaws.
But we went past that. We already, I'm not even gonna go back there again. I got a headache.
Julia, see how bad my dog is? I just want you to see.
Don't bite nobody.
She's mad.
Yeah, so was my grandson. He's hungry. Can somebody make a motion? I mean, I'm not the chairperson of this meeting, but I need to
I
go.
make a
And when's the
we
next
need a
one?
motion.
When's the next board meeting?
October 13th.
October 13th? Yes, okay.
Yes, yes. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
Yes,
Sonia.
yes.
Hey,
Everybody,
Can you just
yes.
say who made the motion and who seconded the
Motion.
motion before you ratify it?
Yeah.
Made the motion to adjourn.
William Vega, second motion.
Oh, William, and your name should be down on the help list.
Please don't say we need to do a count. Please.
A what?
What do you need to do?
Nothing.
there's a motion to adjourn.
Yes, yes, I
Yeah.
second it.
Yes.
I would say, please don't say we need to do a roll call, please, please, please.
Please.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Good night.
Good night, thank you.
Good night, thanks, guys.
Stop here. I want to leave. What's going